What's up, party people, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm assuming that it's either before Christmas or after, but either way, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I've got my little baby Christmas tree back here celebrating with us, but I've been so anxious to film a tutorial of the look that I'm wearing right now, so today we're doing it. This is a really unique, really different, like silvery, taupey, emerald green smoky eye. I feel like this is like a modern take on a smoky eye. It'll be complimentary on all eye colors, all skin tones. It's just such a universally flattering eye look, and it's just so different. For this look, I'm using the Dark Magic palette from the Jaclyn Vault collection. This has been my absolute favorite palette. I've been using this nonstop for the past like 2 months now. I can't put it down. This was the one I thought I would get the least amount of use out of. Like, I thought that I would never use this. It's just way too bold. It's way too smoky. It's too dramatic. I've used this more than any other palette in that collection and any other palette in my collection in general. Every time I wear this, I get compliments, I get questions as to what I'm wearing. It's just so complimentary. It makes my eyes pop. Yeah, if you guys want to see how to actually get it, then please keep watching. Alrighty guys, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I've already primed my eyes with the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. Just use whatever you have on you. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into this matte skin tone, like nude kind of shade, and just set my primer down with that. I'm gonna use an AOA Studio E104 brush. This is from Shop Miss A. This is $1. You can use literally anything. But I'm just gonna pack this all over the eyelid just to set that primer in place. My palette has black eyeshadow and stuff all over it, so every time I touch it, it gets all over my hands. So since this palette is pretty small and condensed, there's not really a whole lot of options for like crease or transition shades, so it's pretty limited, but I feel like the one that is in here is pretty universal, and it does pair pretty well with other shades in here. So I'm gonna go into Shh, which is this matte, neutral but almost cool tone tan shade, and I do feel like it does work pretty well as a transition shade. So I'm gonna take that on a Cara Beauty K17 brush. So I'm gonna put this all in the upper crease from the inner to the outer corner, and I just kind of go back and forth between going in windshield wiper motions, like just side to side. This is really good for actual placement, and then when it comes to actually blending it out, I just kind of go in circular motions, like really small circular motions. And I do blend this shade into the outer V, just kind of have a place to bring the excess pigment. And I'm kind of bringing it inward towards like the bridge of my nose right here, kind of as if I'm going to contour the side of the nose. Okay, so the next shade I'm gonna go into is Potion right here, which is a really unique, I don't even really know how to describe it. It's almost like an army green, but just a little bit more of a lime undertone. So I'm gonna take that on an Iconic London, I don't even know what the brush is, there's no label on it, but it's just a little fluffy brush, a crease brush. It's not super fluffy though. But with this shade, you do have to work in layers, especially because this one, like if you apply too much of it, it can go really muddy and you can kind of lose that pretty like lime undertone. Like it, which with each of these shades where they are more buildable, the more you build them up, the muddier they look, and you kind of lose the vibrancy of it in a way. So I'm gonna put this starting in the outer V, like towards my lash line, and bringing it up towards the lower socket of the crease, but we're keeping that tan shade, we want that to still be showing up. So I'm keeping it below that. But yeah, I don't like to apply too much of this or else it just doesn't look pretty. It looks way too dark. On the outer edge right here, I'm just gonna work in circular motions, like outward circular motions, just to blend it out to how far I want it to come. But I'm gonna slightly drag whatever's left over on the brush, not picking up any more product inward, just so that it all kind of fuses together. I had to extract a couple of bumps on my face, so excuse the redness, I couldn't stand it. So now I'm gonna go into Inside Job, which is that really, really pretty emerald teal that I'm just completely obsessed with now. Like this palette as a whole, but especially this shade right here, has really gotten me into emerald teals. But I'm gonna use the Coastal Scents BR250 brush. I think this is also called the Pro Blending Fluff brush. But again, we're keeping this in the very lower crease, kind of just bring it up to the socket, not gonna bring it up as high as that tan shade, so it's just deepening this outer corner right here. And this shade is actually one of those shades that looks a little bit better when you don't blend as much. Like if you just kind of pat it on and then blend the edges, that's when you're gonna get the most payoff from it, because again, this is another one of those shades that if you build it up too much or you blend it too much, it actually starts looking a little bit muddy and you start losing the pretty green tealish undertone to it. So you can just kind of stamp it in right here and just lightly blend it out. So I literally only dipped into the pan one time for that. So what you can do is go back in with that brush that you use for the lime-ish olive green shade with a little bit more Potion, and just literally put this right back where it was, but really slowly once again just to kind of let this be like your peekaboo shade. Like if you just want like that hint, a little bit more of a green shade, you can just re-intensify it just a tad. I'm just gonna kind of halo it around a little bit out here too. Okay, so now for one of the prettiest silvery taupe shades I've ever used. I'm gonna go into Power Cut, which is, like I said, just a really, really pretty silvery taupe, but there's a little bit of warmth to it. Like it's not super cool tone. Like I feel like this is a very wearable shade. It would go with literally every tone you could think of. I'm gonna take that on a Morphe, oh no, why are all the labels on my brushes gone? I don't know what this is called. I'll try to find it and link it below, but I love this for eyelid shades because it's a little bit fluffy, like it's flat, but it has a little bit of fluff to it to where it actually blends it out a little bit on the edges. So what I start off by doing is I will kind of really, let me show you how much I get on there because I get a lot. So I'm gonna really rub it on there and I'm gonna spray my brush. You can use any kind of setting spray, just use something that you don't use a whole lot. Spray it a couple of times, and with this we're going to put it all over the eyelid. So, well, not really all over the eyelid, but from the inner corner to about center of the lid to kind of meet up with that teal shade. I don't want to cover up the teal shade a whole lot though, but I always start in the center and then work my way inward. So what I do with pretty much all shimmery shadows on my eyelid is bring it up to like the lower socket of the crease. So basically wherever that hollowness is, and I kind of cut it out. So what I mean by that, we're not using concealer or anything, but this kind of gives you a very similar effect, like a less severe like cut crease. So I'm just gonna round it off right through here, and it's basically just touching that very top tan shade. And the reason I do that is because I feel like whenever I keep it like directly below the crease and I don't put any shimmer in the crease whatsoever in through here, and keep in mind this will depend on the eye shape. With my eye shape, this works better. Like I said, I'm just slightly hooded on the outer edge right here. I'm not really hooded, kind of more inward, but I feel like whenever I bring it up a little bit higher to where you can see it when my eyes are open, I feel like it makes my eyes look bigger, because if I keep it below the crease, it makes my eyes look small and it makes it look like I have less eyelid space. So that's just a quick trick. Try it if you have hooded eyes. If you have like Asian eyelids, or if they're like really, really hooded to where the entire crease folds over your eyelid, probably wouldn't work, but if you're like me and you have a similar eye shape, definitely try this. So when it comes to blending that taupe shade into that green, it is kind of hard to blend shimmery eyeshadows into matte shadows. So what I like to do, my little trick is to go in with a shimmery eyeshadow, not like a super shimmery eyeshadow, but just something that isn't completely matte, and let it be something that's a little bit similar to that matte shade that you put in the outer V so that it blends better. So I'm gonna go into Trickery right here, which is just a really pretty, it's just like a basic green shade, and it is kind of shimmery. Like it's not super shimmery, it's more of like a sheen. I'm literally just gonna stamp it on right where that taupe shade and that matte shade meet. So this is gonna be kind of like the border of the two. Once I've laid it down, I'm kind of wiggling it really slowly, and then once again, because it's all about blending and going back in and kind of re-intensifying and re-blending with the previous brush, I'm gonna go in with the brush I used for the taupe shade with no extra product, but I'm gonna use the same side that I applied it with, and just go right on top of the border once again, just to make sure it doesn't look harsh with that shade either. So I haven't been using eyeliner a whole lot lately. I've been using black eyeshadow, and the one in this palette is so good. It looks so much like just a regular black eyeliner. This is in the shade Temptress, and it's such a rich, like carbon black. So I'm gonna take that on a Morphe M432 brush. This is just a flat definer brush. This is seriously a necessity for me. I use this literally every single day. This is such a good brush for packing on anything that you want to look like a liner. The shade does have a lot of fallout, I will say that. Most black shades do. So I'm literally just going to start off by stamping this right at the lashes. And stamping it is going to give you the most pigment, but like if you just go back and forth and you try to wiggle it, it'll kind of smudge it out and flake it off a little bit more. It'll just give you a more soft look. But if you haven't tried like a matte eyeshadow as your liner, you're missing out, because it's so much easier. It gives you the exact same effect. It's softer, it's easier to work with, you have more control. And once I get out here, I do kind of start dragging it to where it almost makes like a little wing. I've really been enjoying just a very soft wing. Okay, so once you've built that up to however dark you want it to be, I'm gonna go into my brow bone highlight now, and this is my favorite brush. I've used this brush every single day for brow bone highlight. This is a Carity Cosmetics E27 brush, and I really like it because it's angled and it has like a little peak to it, and I don't know, it just works really, really well for the brow bone. So, and again, I don't have brow products on right now. I'm doing this all before brows, but I'm just gonna start laying this down. And I go all the way in with this, but I focus most of the intensity on the outer portion of the brow, like towards the tail and the arch. But as you can see, that just cleans it up so much. It just automatically makes it look more kept and just more clean cut. And also, if you've gone too high with the crease or you've gone too bold in the crease, that just kind of cleans it up and makes it look a little bit softer in that very top portion of it. So I'm going to go back into that brush that I did use for the crease shade, that tan shade. This is that Cara Beauty. I get Carity and Cara mixed up. The Cara Beauty, and with no extra product, I'm just going to kind of raise my brow so it lifts my eyelid up a little bit. Just go right back over that, right under the brow bone and right on top of the crease. Just make sure everything is seamless and not harsh. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera and finish up the rest of my face, my mascara, my brows, all that good stuff, and we'll come back and finish up the lower lash line. So I'm going to first go into that first transition shade that we use, which is such a stupid name for an eyeshadow, but I'm going to go in with that on a Morphe G18 brush. I'm surprised there's actually a label. So this is just a little bit more of a fluffy round brush. I actually haven't used this one in a while. I just want to kind of see how it works for this. So I'm just going to start off by smudging this along the lower lashes, and we're pretty much going in the same order that we did on the top. That's pretty much how I always do things. So if you're ever curious as to how I do the lower lashes, it's pretty much the same order as what I do on the top. Okay, so now I'm going to go into that weird lime, olive greeny kind of shade. I'm going to take that on the same brush. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. This is, again, just to kind of help fade into the emerald teal we're going to put on. And just keep this a little bit closer to the lashes. With each shade, as I move up, as I go from light to dark, I am keeping it closer to the lash root. Whereas that first tan shade, we kind of smudged it pretty low, and it's going to be, you know, kind of our smoky shade. But we're getting tighter and tighter with each shade as we get darker. And last, I'm going to go into another Morphe brush. This is the M508. And this is a newer brush to me, and I've actually really been enjoying this. It's really good for placement. It doesn't necessarily like blend it out, but it's a really good like placement brush. So I'm going to go into Inside Job now, which is that beautiful emerald shade. And again, since this is darker, we're keeping this tighter. So I'm going to start by smudging this right at the lashes, all the way over. So we're not going lower than the other shades. We want those other shades to be the smokier parts of the lower lashes. Then I'm going to go back to that brush I used for the other shades and just blend right below that. Not on top of it, just below it, just so it doesn't look too like just there, you know. We want it to be a little bit softer. So I'm just going to take whatever's left over on the brush and just kind of drag it up to meet the very top. And last but certainly not least, we need an inner corner highlight. We already started placing a little bit of that taupey shade in there earlier, but we've lost a lot of the intensity. I want it to be pretty intense. So again, going into Power Cut, which is that really pretty silvery taupe. I'm going to take this on an Iconic London. Again, no label. Very stupid. This is just a little pencil brush. Just use any kind of pencil brush. And putting this right here in the inner corner. And I also like to drag it up, even if I'm not using the exact same shade. I like to bring it up into the eyelid shade just so it all kind of molds together. And I'm also going to take this along the very, very inner portion. So I just feel like this makes it look a little bit brighter. It just makes it look more rounded. I just feel like it looks like it's all connected. So we've connected the lower lashes to the top. Now we're connecting the inner corner to the top and the bottom as well. So it just looks very like, I don't know, unified, I guess. Then pop on some lower lash mascara and we are done. That is it for this eye tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy holidays. I hope you guys enjoy it with your family and loved ones. Be careful, be safe, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. So thank you all so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Mwah.